I've been in China for 4 years doing my master's. I did electrical engineering from Beijing, Huabei and Midashui, or North China Electric Power University.
For quite some time, I went there twice. First I went in 2002 and left in 2008. Then I went back in 2011 for 1 year. So in the total, I was there for 7 years.
Yes, I've been in China in summer of 2019. I was there from September to December, 3 months. And I traveled to different parts of China, yes.
So I was in China in total for more than 15 years. So I did universities in China, but after university, I also worked in Beijing for more than 8 years.
I started my university in China and completed my university degree, medicine. So the first time I went there was 2002 and 2008. I was enrolled at the Tianjin Medical University, where I had my Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery.
I'd gone to Peking University. There was a program known as Dongfang Scholarship. We met there with other people from different countries of the world. And basically, we were learning on the governance of China. Yes.
China and Communist Party of China. I know China, of course, because I've been there for 4 years. I had friends, Chinese people. I had my colleagues from school. So I visited different places in China, different cities during holidays in Beijing. And I know at least something about China, and I know the development. What I know about the Communist Party of China is that it's the leading party of the country that is helping a lot for the development of the country.
Well, having lived in China, you must know the Communist Party, because it's like knowing the father in your house.
Well, I know since the founding of China, I think the Communist Party of China is the one that has been in charge of the country. It's the ruling party. It's the majority party that has been in power, and I know that CPC has done a lot of things in the development of the country, from where the country was by then up to where it is today. It's a tremendous achievement of the Communist Party of China, that's what I can say.
Well, I know China very well, at least as much as I can know, me not being Chinese. I speak Chinese. I did my university studies in Chinese, and I'm passionate about the country. I've always loved China, and I know about the Communist Party as the ruling party of China, and the party that created New China.
Yes, China is the most populated country in the world, and the living standard of Chinese, I may say, is average. It's good because, you know, catering for the population of big number like that, it's not something easy, but the government of China is doing whatever they can so that people well-being is good. So, you know, China has developed all small-scale infrastructures for all the population of China, not only small scale, but even high-level infrastructures, starting from schools, starting from health centers, health facilities, transportations, and everything. So I may say that the living standard of Chinese is good because, you know, every Chinese can get at least something to eat. He can access to education, he can access to health facilities.
Before going to China, I had minimal knowledge about China, but the very moment we landed in Beijing, I found a country very impressive at all levels. Like the people, as you said, the infrastructure and the living style, the culture. It was a very intense experience for us, which was unexpected, if I might say so. And also you see people that we are unified. you see the power in the people?
Well, the living standard of the Chinese people, probably I can say that it's one of the, all people have good living standards, you know. You see, when I reached there, at first I thought I was rating China as a developing country, just like some of the African developing countries. But to my amazement, when I reached there, at least I could see that this is a different level of development. At least I was rating it with developed countries. And wherever we passed, we saw that the people have good living standards. First of all, the kind of houses they live in, the level of education, health, how they get medical services. I think they are living good. Even the infrastructure, there's a very well developed infrastructure, roads, high-speed trains, you know, and all this shows that people in China have attained the best or good living standard, although I know they are striving to achieve the best.
So I was lucky enough to witness the rise of China. I was there from about 2001 to 2015, and I saw China go from developing to a fully developed country, at least in the region around Beijing or in the east of China where I was. But I've also visited the countryside and the western part, which is still under development. So I know that China overall is a developing country, but its living standard for its people has grown tremendously in the period where I was there.
As I said before, the Chinese government is involved in the well-being of Chinese people so much. You know, when you want your people to live decently, you have to make whatever you can so that they can access all necessary facilities. When I say facilities, it means all necessary living facilities. For example, if you are sick, you need to access to the health services. If you want to study, you need to have access to education. If you want to go from place to another one, you need to have access to transportation infrastructure. And so the government of China did a lot in this area because, as I said, the Chinese, they have access to education, they have access to health facilities, they have access to the transportation sector or transportation infrastructure is well developed in China.
China as a country, it's people-centered. It's like the people are at the forefront. Like they participate in the daily life of the country, the construction of the Communist Party from the family up to the high leadership level. It's something that is very impressive and it's outstanding. You see it upon arrival. And once you put people first, of course, you ask yourself, how can you keep the people happy? It's a simple question that we ask ourselves, how do I keep my people very happy? But also it's an opportunity because you have opened up a conversation with the people and they are able to tell you what is their day-to-day life, be it the education of their children, the health care for the families and the economy, the businesses. And from those interactions, you get to strategize and come up with what you set as a national strategy. So being in that conversation, obviously, the people will be moving forward towards development.
Well, the well-being of the Chinese people, what I can say is that I found out that China puts forward the improving the living standards, or what would I say? It's a people-centered governance. What I could say that CPC has put forward people-centered governance to the extent that whatever they do it in the interest of the people. So with that, you find that actually, even if you say that it is the most populated country in the world, yes, it is, but you find that it is a society that is, what I would say, at ease with itself. People look satisfied, with what they get. So with all this, you could see that people really they have confidence in their government to provide for them the basic needs they want and even achieve more. So you see that I used to travel by metro, and sometimes you would find places which are crowded with thousands of people. And then you ask yourselves, how do such people not, how do they feel satisfied with all the services they need from the government? And they don't riot or do whatever. But then, yeah, it shows that there's a high level of satisfaction of the people and they have confidence in their government.
I think the Chinese government is crucial to the improvement of well-being of Chinese people. There's never been a country which has managed to develop without good administration, and history shows us that the Chinese government has been a very good administrator of the Chinese state and the people.
Chinese education system is good. Maybe not for everyone, because most of the Chinese classic universities, they mainly teach in Chinese. Of course, they have also programs in English, but that is probably the politics for China to cater for their own population, because the development you want at the end is for your own country. So if, for example, if it's possible that in Rwanda we teach all our kids in Kinyarwanda, I think they will be able to understand better than teaching them in a foreign language. So Chinese education system is good because, even when you look at numbers, there are many foreigners that are going to study in China that are learning, they are getting knowledge and skills from China, starting from me or from Rwandans, but not only Rwandans, even Asians, Americans, Europeans, they are going there. And the education system is well developed because from the nursery schools, primary, secondary, universities, even graduates and postgraduates, the Chinese education system is well constructed. And you will find that all schools, technical schools, they have laboratories, they have all necessary infrastructures so that Chinese can get access to or can understand very well what they are learning. So in general, I will say the education system of China is well developed.
They have very big universities which are very well renowned. You can mention Tsinghua and other universities, and it's built around a very strong clinical care in all domains, including the new diseases like cancer therapy, and also you see a blend between the modern medicine and a very well developed traditional Chinese medicine. There is a strong education system around. Their hospitals are all teaching and academic hospitals, which means there is possibilities to have research on site, and from that you build your system. So it's a very strong medical system that they have in China.
Yeah, so my industry is fintech, which is finance plus technology, and I entered this industry because of my experience with the Chinese payment services, especially Alipay from Alibaba, and I was lucky enough to go to have some courses with the Alibaba University and learn about how China developed I think the most advanced payment system in Alipay and WeChat Pay. So in the industry of fintech, China really remains at the forefront, I think the most advanced. And in Africa, we also have our own mobile money payment, which has been a pioneer, but it's a bit different. And now the Chinese are also developing the e-Chinese yuan or the electronic Chinese yuan, which would be a game changer in our industry. So in fintech, I can say that China is a very powerful player in the industry. Yeah,
that is the most developed sector in China, I may say. you will see that not only in Rwanda but worldwide, you will find that Chinese companies, they are very involved in the infrastructure sectors of the world. So the infrastructure development in China is at high level. As I said before, you will see that in China, because China is a big country, which is populated, they have many people, and to go from one place to another one, of course, you need transportation infrastructures like roads, you need highways, they have trains, they have airplanes, which means that they have to develop many airports, they have rail stations, they have railways, they have roads. So the infrastructure sector of China is well developed. The construction of the houses, they have big malls, they have schools well constructed, they have apartments, because you know when you have the population which is numbering in billions and billions, you cannot say that everyone will be living scattered as probably we do here in Rwanda, but people have to be combined in agglomerations or in apartments so that they can access the primary facilities like electricity, like water. It's easier for them. So the infrastructure sector of China is well developed, and I think is the most developed worldwide.
First of all, China was very open to other countries. It welcomed me in 2002, and I was just a young boy from Rwanda. And there are many countries actually. When I arrived, I could realize that many countries were there with the same possibilities to pursue their studies as I had. And we were very much impressed by the infrastructure on the site. And once you see, then you know what to recommend when you go back to your home. And I was very happy to see that it does not end in Beijing or in Shanghai. There's always possibilities to have it back in your own country and at the same standard. So when students graduate from China, they don't lose the connection that they had. So slowly they keep in touch with their professors, their universities, their friends. And before you know it, you start seeing the same infrastructure that you have seen in China rising in Rwanda. I believe in other countries also it's the same, like the same road network, the same buildings for different purposes, like hospitals, Masaka hospitals and other hospitals that are going to come in the future. Government buildings that are of state-of-the-art, very well connected. We don't have trains, maybe. That's what we don't have yet, but I think what I have seen there, I'm gradually seeing it here as well.
Yes, yes. What I know is that the China Bridge and Construction Company, I think, is one of the companies that is available here in Rwanda. It has been here for more than 30 years, I believe. They came before 1994, and they have worked on a number of road projects. And if you know, Rwanda is being rated as one of the countries that has got the best infrastructure in terms of roads. And the best contractor we've had is the Chinese construction companies. If you see the most recently completed road on Kichukiro, if you see the roads at Sonatube, in the city center, and even up country. So I think most people know that we've had the Chinese construction companies that have constructed roads and made them as beautiful as they are. I think, yeah, you know, Kigali City is one of the most beautiful cities in Africa, especially also that they are clean. But the cleanliness also goes with the level of the roads that we have paved roads, we have tarmac roads that have been constructed by Chinese companies. I think this is a good contribution to the cooperation between the two countries. When we talk about the Belt and Road Initiative, BRI is one of the infrastructure development projects that China is doing with different countries over the world. And of course, we see that there are tangible benefits in the cooperation between Rwanda and China in that direction.
Yes, in terms of infrastructure, of course, Chinese is very impressive. I was there when the first high-speed railway was built, and there is a Chinese saying that if you want to develop, first build road. So I think Chinese involvement in the infrastructure development in Rwanda is very key to the development of this country. Most of the roads in Kigali, most of the roads crisscrossing the country are built by the Chinese companies that I'm very familiar with. So I think, in fact, the contribution of Chinese companies in Rwanda's development is most heavily felt in the infrastructure industry.
It's much different from last year. I think, one, I attribute it to the hard-working nature of the Chinese people. If you know very well, in the 1960s, China's GDP was lower than some of the African countries. For example, Malawi, Kenya, they were richer than China. But now, you don't even compare how they have reached. So one, it is the hardworking nature of the Chinese people. But secondly, I think I attribute it to the CPC policies, the Communist Party of China, the good policies that have made the country develop so fast. But also, more important is the continuity of the leadership, because CPC has been in power for a long time to ensure that the policies, the implementation goes on and on, rather than in other countries where they tell us that every 5 years we have to change leadership. This is quite different. We see that continuity of leadership of CPC has resulted into the economic development that we are seeing. So I think it's an amalgamation of all those people, good policies. We have good leadership of the CPC, but also what I had probably not mentioned is the participation of the people, the will of the people, because the government alone cannot succeed without partnership with the people. So I think all those make China succeed to be where it is. But also the policies we are talking about of the CPC, fight against corruption. I think President Xi Jinping has played a big role in the fight against corruption, because when you see in most of the African countries, our economies collapse because of corruption. The leadership, they steal the money. But in China, they've done a lot to fight corruption. And this is why most of the resources that come within government coffers, they are put to good use, and this is the development that we're seeing now.
I think Africa have many lessons that can be learned from China, because when you see the economic development of China is not backed from many years ago. It's like 20 or 30 years ago. China was almost at the same standards, at the same level as Africa we are today, but now it is among developed countries. Yes, what we can learn from there is that working hard pays. Chinese, they are where they are because they worked hard. When I'm saying working hard, it means in each sector. For example, if you are a teacher, you need to be committed to what you are doing. If you are a trader or a businessman, you need to be committed in what you are doing. When you do agriculture, you need to be committed. What I have seen in Africa that we need to learn from China is that Africans, sometimes we don't love what we are doing. Chinese, they love what they do. That's why you will see that in the past we used to say that Chinese are working day and night. Because they work hard, they don't have enough time to rest, and they need to work hard until when they achieve what they want. So I think simply in one word, what Africans can learn from China is working hard. Yeah. Working hard pays, and Chinese, they reach the level where they are today because they worked hard. Yeah.
Something that we have in common with Rwanda and China, you put the people, put your people first, ensure that you are working to make them happy in their day-to-day life, so that they don't have to struggle. That's the basic that each country should learn as a good practice from the People's Republic of China, and also be open for collaborations. There is no single country that is going to lock itself without collaborating with others. So when there are possibilities and you have countries, big countries like China, opening their doors for you to access all that they have in different sectors, aeronautics, education, medicine, infrastructure, those are possibilities that you have to take. And also I believe there are also things that we deliver as well, we put on the plate. Like we have our own way of living that can also inspire China. So it's a win-win situation. It's one of the most supportive government that I have seen, because they get to know the person at a very personal level. When we reached Beijing in 2002, I was very happy to see that they knew my name, they knew where I was coming from, they knew the time that I was going to be arriving, and all the people that I was going to get involved with, they were also aware that there is a Rwandan who has arrived in Tianjin. He doesn't speak the language, he's going to enroll in degree to do medicine and many things. So there are a lot of opportunities that we should take. A life of a country, it's a broad term. It means different sectors, but all it's evolving around the governance and the leadership that you have in place. So in China, the enabling factor or the enabling system that was in place is the CPC, Chinese Communist Party, that ensure that all these sectors are interconnected, that they are accountable to the people that they have to make happy and to support out of poverty, to support, to access high level of education, high level of medical care that can be provided in those respective countries. It's like a father in the house, but also a father who is not there to dictate what should be done, but a father who is able to listen to the people and be able to implement what the people wish to have in their day-to-day life. I would say it's comparable to what we have in Rwanda as the leading party in Rwanda, the RPF. And I'm very happy on a private note to mention that I always feel happy to see both systems connected and collaborating in day-to-day life.
Yes, there's a lot I think we can learn from China. As I told you, some of the African countries had a better economy than China some 50 years back. But now China is far ahead. It's the second largest country in the world. It's the second largest economy in the world. So we ask ourselves, what happened? You know, what went wrong? So first of all, the leadership, as we were saying. If you have good leadership, if you have people-centered leadership, if you have pro-people policies, good policies that implement all the development strategies, I think Africa has to learn a lot from China. And this, what I see, the cooperation between China and Africa can help us a lot to get the benefits, you know. If you saw in the past 3 years, during the COVID pandemic, China played a very big role to support African countries to come out of this pandemic. At least we saw some of the developed countries that were not willing to even share the vaccines, because in Africa we're not manufacturing vaccines. But China played a very big role to support African countries, and I think this is, they brought their experts and shared experience with the African experts. I think there's a lot that we can learn from Chinese in order to develop the infrastructure development. We are having Chinese companies in Africa. I think all these issues we have, for example, here in Rwanda, we have got 2 hospitals, Masaka Hospital and Ngoma Hospital, which are run by Chinese doctors working together with Rwandans. I think from that we learn from them, we learn from each other, and I think this can help us also to look at the path that the Chinese people have used to develop themselves so quickly, and we can also do the same. Poverty alleviation is something that is very important and pertinent to the African continent. Most of our countries are still poor. So if we see China has made it in just 1 generation, so it means that even African countries, we can do it. It is possible. The issue is the leadership. The issue is people participation. The issue is to know that we are able. It can be done. So I think these are things that we can learn from the Chinese people in order to develop.
It's a difficult question to answer. I think every country has its own path to follow in development, but Africa can learn a lot about infrastructure, about technology, but most importantly, I believe, about governance. I think what China has shown in terms of governance is a heavy lesson, and the Communist Party has proven that a well-governed country can do miracles. So I think it's the biggest lessons that we can learn.